Life is unfair. Get used to it. The infamous Bill Gates quote from his 11 Rules to Life that I personally live by. I first heard this quote when I was in high school, and it was a speaker that came in and he was talking about the Bill Gates 11 Rules to Life. And since then, I've actually lived by it. Every time in life, especially when I was in college and facing my rough years in life, whenever I go through something and start thinking, oh, life is so unfair, it's so unfair, which it is, I'm always in the back of my head like, get over it, girl. Like, that's just life. Like, that's just something that has stuck with me throughout the years. So right now, I want to give you guys two scenarios and just kind of have you guys think a little bit before I get into this video. Now, the first scenario, imagine that you went to college for 4 years, and we're gonna go with the fact that you get a degree in nursing. So a 4-year degree in nursing, and you actually went on a full ride scholarship. So your tuition and board was paid for, everything was paid for, you didn't have to come out of pocket for anything. You graduate in 4 years, you get this 4-year degree. You then, after college study, you a couple months later get your RN license. Shortly after that, you're able to find a job. And I know RNs start out probably around the teens to 25 or so an hour. So we're gonna go with, you start out making maybe 22 an hour. So now you graduated, you have zero debt. So even with the student loan debt, not having any of that, you also ended up just having a used car while in college, and then you didn't rack up any credit card debt because your parents probably advised you better. So now you have this RN license and you're making a pretty solid income to start out. So you're able to pay all your bills, you have no debt, you have all this disposable income. So now, would you think that that's a scam? Would you think college is a scam in that scenario? I probably wouldn't think college is a scam in that scenario if it was me personally. But think about it, would you? Now, I want to list another scenario. So in this scenario, we're going to say you have a degree in social work. And so in getting this degree, you racked up about 60,000 in debt, not just the student loan debt, but you got a car note as well. You also had a little bit of credit card debt, so maybe 10,000 in credit card debt on top of 60,000 student loan debt and a $20,000 car note. So now you're near 100,000 in debt graduating. Now you graduate and you look in the markets, and the job that you find, we're gonna start with $15 an hour. So just a little bit above 30K. So now you have all this debt and you're only making $15 an hour. In that particular scenario, would you then think that college is a scam? I know I would. I would be so ready to give back that degree and say, look, get rid of those student loans and you can have this degree. I would be so ready to do that. I wanted you guys to think about those two scenarios, because a lot of times what I've seen is a lot of people who think that college is a scam has oftentimes faced a very rough time and graduated with a lot of debt, or they graduated, they're not able to find jobs that pay well within the field that they chose. So today I wanted to talk just a little bit about college. Towards the end of this video, I will tell you guys whether or not I think that college was a scam, and I also wanted to touch on my personal college journey a little bit more. I know I did that in my Road to Financial Freedom video, but I want to touch on it a lot more in this video. I wanted to give some tips to parents or even just students who are currently in college, thinking about going to college, or maybe you already graduated college and you're now thinking of your post-grad life. I wanted to touch on that as well, so stay tuned for this video. Let me just give you guys the quick backstory that I was born in the ghettos of Jamaica. My mother then migrated here, and then she brought her children here to the States as well for a better life. And so I did not grow up around people that went to college. I did not grow up around a lot of people who were successful career wise, let's say that way. So as you can tell, my knowledge of college growing up and in going into college was very limited. To be honest, I don't even quite know why I went to college or why I chose to go to college. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was like, I guess I don't want to stay home. I guess I will just go to college because me and my mother did not get along. So I was just like, I'm not staying here. So I guess I'm going to go to college. And so I had no idea what I was doing, you guys. I promise you, I had no idea. Long story short, I then chose business because growing up I wanted to be a model. I wanted to be a businesswoman. That's what I always wanted to do growing up. That's what I wanted to do growing up. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna study business because I knew I didn't want to do the sciences, not because I wasn't smart enough, but because I wasn't interested in science, my worst subject. I did not want to go into the healthcare field. I just do not have the stomach for it. So I then chose business. And in choosing business, I was exposed to like accounting classes. And then I realized like I was really interested in understanding how money works in within a business. And that's what accounting in my opinion does. Like it shows you how the money flows within the business, and that's really what I wanted to learn. So then after like a year and a half or so, I switched over to accounting. It was all in business school though, so it was basically a similar curriculum. It's just that the last 2 years I had to take more accounting classes. So throughout my 4 years of college, or I should say to begin, that when I got accepted to college, they said I was going to be out of state. So when I was 17, what had happened was my mother basically kicked me out to Florida to go stay with my uncle. I went to stay with my uncle my senior year of high school, but my mother didn't emancipate me or anything, so they still had it that she was my guardian at the time. So when I was applying to college in Florida, they like had me as an out-of-state student. So going into college, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know there was such thing as an out-of-state student. I didn't know what that meant. No idea what it meant at the time. So went to college. I was this out-of-state student. Now I got these out-of-state charges. Now Penn State in-state was the same price as my out-of-state at the school I chose, which was FAMU. Well, I only applied to two schools, let me just say, which was FAMU and FSU. And I was just like, if I get in, I get in. If I don't, I don't. I just, honestly, I did not care. I know that's bad to say, but at the time, like, I honestly just didn't care. I was just, as a teenager, in such a bad place. I was just not wanting to be around my mother at the time. That's just really what it was. So I then got into FAMU, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go to FAMU. So had these out-of-state charges. I didn't fully understand what it meant until I realized that even in me getting all the federal grants and taking out the max federal loans, that wasn't enough to cover my tuition. After like the grants and the federal loans were taken out, I still owe $10,000. I'm like, how am I gonna pay this $10,000? And when I went down there, they're like, oh, you gotta get your parent to get a plus loan. My mother is not taking out $10,000 for me. That's not going to happen. Okay, my mother was not about to do that. So I was kind of stuck in limbo. I did not know what to do. So I would go around, talk to all these different offices. I was trying to get money and stuff like that. Eventually, what had happened was the guy, he said, if you pay $500, I'll let you sign up for your classes. So I did that and I signed up for the next classes. But then the same issue happened the next semester. It's just that the first semester and second semester added up, so I owed like close to $20,000 at the end of the first year. And I wasn't gonna get private loans. I mean, I was looking into it, but I'm so glad I never got it. But I was looking into it, and so at the end of the first year, I owed close to 20,000. I was going around, I was trying to get in state, I was trying to talk to all these people. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was trying, okay? Long story short, at that point, my GPA was like 3 point something. It was 3 point something. And so I was able to get them to give me these scholarships. Like the thing what that worked to my advantage is that when they saw that I was a business major and they saw that I had above a 3.0 GPA, they were quicker to give me a scholarship versus like the students who didn't were in like certain majors, I should say, or didn't have a 3.0. They're not as willing to give you whatever money that they're holding back, and the schools are always holding back money, okay? So they were able to cover what I owed to the school, so then I could continue. And basically all 4 years of college was like that for me. At times, especially towards the end, I wasn't even focused on school. I was focused on how I'm gonna pay these people to continue to the next semester without having to get any private loans, because I did not want to get any private loans. I mean, I didn't fully understand student loans at the time, but I knew that adding private loans to the federal loans, I knew my common sense was telling me that wasn't going to be a good idea. I mean, student loans in general is not a good idea, but I knew that private loans added to my federal loans would not have been good. So long story short, the 4 years were just a struggle of trying to find money for scholarships, trying to find any kind of money I can from the school to get them to pay for me to go to the next semester. And that's literally what I did. That was my 4 years of college. I never got money back like a lot of students. I never got that. Like, my 4 years were spent. I mean, while I will say I did enjoy my time in college, I could not fully enjoy it like most students, because, and even like with studying and stuff, at times my mind wasn't even on studying. My mind was on, are they gonna give me money to continue the next semester? And so the first 3 years, I actually ended up staying on campus because I was scared that if I went off campus, they wouldn't give me any money to cover board. So my last year, I made the dumb decision to move off campus, and that's exactly what happened. They weren't giving me money to cover it. So that was quite a disaster, okay? And then my mother just never quite understood what was going on in college. Like, she never understood any of it. She was just kind of like, I don't know anyone else struggling like this. I don't know anyone struggling like this. Why are you struggling like this? I'm just like, you didn't emancipate me, and now I'm this out-of-state student. What do you mean? Why am I struggling? You know what I mean? And at one point, I was so angry at her, you guys. I was so angry. But actually, I've just learned that it's not quite her fault that she didn't understand. It's just I couldn't expect her to understand. But sadly, that was a detriment to me in college. It was just such a struggle, you guys. I can't even. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Like, I feel like if I had had more time to focus on the school aspect of school while I was in school, I probably would have did more internships, and I would have came out a lot better than I did. But at the same time, I feel like I needed to go through that to get to where I am. Now, I want to say after I did graduate in 4 years, don't know how I did it, because that last year especially, that year was a just disaster. I didn't even want to be in school anymore. Like, honestly, a lot of it, my organization was kind of getting me through, because I was just done. I was done with the struggle. I was done with trying to get money from them people that were just holding on to the money. Like, I was tired of it. I was done with it. So when I graduated in 4 years, like, that was like such a surprise even to me. I don't know how I did it, because last semester was a disaster. I had to retake those classes, and so I still was able to finish in 4 years though. But then in retaking those classes, it caused me to owe the school $5,000. So that's how I graduated, owing the school $5,000, which I told you guys in one of my previous videos, I paid off in order to get my diploma. And I know when I first got my diploma, I was like, you know what? I honestly don't need this crap. They could have just kept it and I could have kept my $5,000. But now I actually do need that diploma, you guys, and I'll tell you guys why. So then after I graduated, it was a struggle of trying to figure out, do I even want to do accounting? Because I knew that I never went to school to be an accountant. I did not. I promise you guys I didn't. I went to school to learn business. And when I realized that in the business program, they weren't really teaching you how to run the business, like how to build your own business. They were teaching you how to basically work for someone else's business. And I'm sure you can go up the corporate ladder, but as far as how to run your own personal business, they were not teaching that in school, at least in the business program I was in. Not to say, I still think it was a good program for those who are wanting to work for a company. So then I decided to switch to accounting, like I said, so I could learn how the money works in the business, because I'm like, that's my ultimate goal, so I might as well learn how the money works. And that's what I did. So when I graduated, I didn't know that I wanted to work in accounting, but I was like, I have an accounting degree, I might as well try to find one of those jobs. But the thing was, because I was so zoned out of school, my GPA dropped a lot, so I didn't actually graduate with a 3.0. Not because I didn't know the stuff, it's just I was not caring that last year. I just really wasn't. So I didn't graduate with a 3.0, and a lot of the accounting jobs, that at least the ones that pay well coming out, they wanted you to have above a 3.0. So then I knew I wasn't able to get those jobs, so started looking around. It started becoming depressing in a sense, so I was kind of like, yeah, college kind of felt like a scam at that point. Because then I even started looking at my student loan, because when you graduate, that's when they start sending you those notifications that your student loan is gonna start being due at this time. And I looked at my student loan, you guys. I was like, let me tell you. So my 4 years of college cost me about $140,000. Really, it was a 120, but because I had to retake some classes, it went up to 140, really, or close to there. Now, would I say that my degree is worth $140,000? Hell no. If I wouldn't change anything per se. I don't regret anything. But if I was able to go back and try the whole thing again, I would not go the route that I did. I would have chose a much cheaper option, or an option where I was getting money to pay for everything. But yeah, when I graduated, that's what it was. So it kind of felt like, now I didn't have $140,000 in student loan debt, guys. I only took out damn, I wrote the number down somewhere. I took out about $40,000, but it adds on interest over the years, so it went up to close to $50,000, but it wasn't above $50,000 even with the interest. It didn't go above $50,000, so that was pretty much my student loan debt when I graduated. I was looking at it and I was just like, wow, this is a lot. I will say I did have an offer coming out with a restaurant. They wanted a trainee manager, they would train you to run the store basically. But I personally didn't want to do that. They were starting out around $50K, I believe it was. And they were willing to hire me, but I did not want to do that. So I chose to go back home, and me and my mother, we got along a lot better when I went back home, but she didn't quite understand why I couldn't find jobs or whatever. And let me just say, it's not that I couldn't find jobs. In my field, the jobs were there. There was a lot of places willing to hire me, but they weren't paying anything. Like, some of these jobs are trying to pay you like $12 an hour. I'm like, I'm not working for $12 an hour. Y'all have no idea what I just went through. I am not about to work for $12 an hour. I just wasn't gonna do it. So I eventually just looked through an agency, and I found a revenue analyst position through that. And then I started doing that as just something to get me some experience, basically. I did internship in college, but it wasn't anything that would help in the accounting field per se. So then I got into accounting, and my first accounting job was the job I left in Philly. Now, from me doing the revenue analyst position, throughout that time, while I was like earning money and paying off debt and saving money and stuff like that, I had made a determination that I wanted to move out to LA to pursue my dreams. This was back in 2017, so I made that decision back then, and then I said I would just work and save up and pay to get my diploma, pay off my credit card debt. At the time I had owed like $3,500. At the time I was also thinking of getting a car. So then at that point my debt was my student loan debt, my $3,500 in credit card debt, and the $5,000 that I owed the school. So I guess you can say I had a total of close to $60,000, if you want to say debt. Then I paid off the credit card debt in like a couple months. I was able to work out something with my mom where she paid for the diploma and I gave her back the money, which is basically what I did. In like a 3-month period, I did that, and I saved up to move out to LA. And I had started working at the Black-owned nonprofit in Philly. It was an accounting position there, and so I was able to get in some accounting experience there, but I knew that job was not for me. So I then, in 2018 made the decision to move out to LA. So as you can see, I went through quite the journey to get to where I am now. It was quite a journey, you guys, of just trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do for sure. The first step was determining that I did want to, in fact, continue to pursue the acting and modeling stuff. I want to pursue that. With the acting and modeling, that's really my passion, but I know there's stuff I have to work on to get there, and it might take me a couple years to even book my first big role, or my first role that's gonna hit it big, or whatever the case may be. But I'm in the mindset that it'll happen. It's just a matter of when. So in the meantime, I work on the things that I'm actually good at, which is money. So then I also had made the determination that I am gonna pursue the CPA license. Now I wanted to get more settled out here before I started pursuing that, because that is a whole other ball game. That's something I'm actually working on right now. I don't talk much about it because I want to say, at first, at one point, I had said I was gonna go to grad school, because after college, like I said, my head was spinning with so many different things on what it is that I want to do. So I was like, I'm gonna go to grad school, get an MBA. You know, that was the easy thing to say at the time. This was before my whole personal finance journey. This was before that. I was like, I'm gonna probably just go to grad school. Because people just kept asking, what's next? When you graduate, like, it's so annoying when people keep asking, what's next? Like, it is so annoying, you guys. So sometimes you just throw out some bullshit thing that you think they want to hear. So it's like, I'm gonna probably just go get my MBA. But the real thing was, I wasn't willing to go back to school and rack up more debt. So I didn't sure if I wanted to get the MBA. But at one point, I actually did believe I was going to do that. And I actually bought my GMAT books. So I bought the GMAT books. I was actually going to study for the GMAT. But then I started my personal finance journey, and I started doing a lot of research. Now, with learning personal finance, a lot of it is about behavior, but it also comes with some research. And I was doing a lot of research, and I was like, well, if I was to go to grad school, it's really to get the rest of the credits that I need for the CPA license. The thing with the CPA license that I know is that while you need 150 credit hours, you don't need a master's degree. So you can have a bachelor's degree in accounting like I do, and then you can take the 30 hours at a community college. So instead of me going to grad school, I then determined that's what I'm gonna do, because community college out here for 30 credit hours is less than $1,200 if you're in state. So I made a determination to do that instead. So I just skipped over the whole grad school thing. I don't need it. And now the testing and stuff, that's also additional money, but those are things I can all pay out of pocket just fine if I need to, or if I can't get them other people to pay for it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I had determined from just research. Now that I just rambled through all of that, I just wanted to say to my people out there who are currently in limbo after college, still trying to figure out what you're doing, even if it's 2 or 3 years after college and you're still there trying to figure out what you're doing. I know a lot of my peers go through this. It's okay. It's okay to take some time and discover what it is that you want to do. Like, it's okay to do that. And then once you determine that is when you should take steps. Like, don't just be doing a bunch of different things. Oh, I'm gonna go to this grad school, that grad school, rack up all this debt just to come out and making like $20 an hour. $20 an hour is nothing. There's some people who think that is a lot of money. It's literally nothing. Of course, I make more than that now, but like at one point I was making like $19 an hour, and let me tell you, and I was living at home, and to me that was nothing. Okay, so just know that it's okay to take some time to figure out what you want to do, and then take the necessary steps to get there. Now, I want to say, in deciding what it is that you want to do, decide two things. What is it that you're good at, and what is it that you're passionate about? I know I watched a video once where the guy, he was talking about the fact that if you want to become wealthy, which is one of my goals, you want to pursue those things that you're good at. Your passion is great. You should still pursue your passion, but your passion is likely not going to make you a lot of money, at least not right off the jump. So you should pursue those things that you're good at, as well as pursuing your passion, which is basically what I'm doing. And I know that for me, what's I sat down and discovered when I was like, okay, well, where is it that I'm trying to go? Before I even made the decision to move out to LA, one of the things I've always been passionate about is helping people. I've always wanted to help people, but I knew I couldn't go into the healthcare field because, like I said earlier, I don't have the stomach for it. And I also determined that I wanted to pursue my passion too. So my passion doesn't have much to do with helping people. So I started thinking, okay, how can I help people with what I'm good at? Which is, what I'm good at is money, accounting. I'm learning a lot even now. I'm gonna always be learning, but I want to teach those things too. So I'm like, what can I do to help people? What is a deficit in today's world? Personal finance. A lot of people don't know about personal finance. There's a lot of people like me who grew up with no one to teach them personal finance. So I was like, why not help people in that way? And I'm like, well, if I pair that of wanting to teach personal finance and I'm doing accounting, I get the CPA license, that gives me even more validation. And I don't want to teach in a classroom setting per se, but it starts here. Even with my YouTube channel, I know my personal finance videos don't get as many views. I think it's not the most interesting thing in the world, but I'm still gonna put the videos out because it's something that I'm passionate about. It's something I'm passionate about. I'm passionate in teaching people what I know, and then I continue to learn and teach what I learn along the way. That's just something you have to sit down and determine when you're like in a limbo phase. Like, we've all been in that phase where like, I don't really know what I'm trying to do. Sit down and think about some of the things that you're good at, and then think about some of the things that you're passionate about, and then think about how can you bring those things together. How can you bring those things together? And that's basically what I personally did to get myself out of the funk of not knowing what to do after college. Because there's a lot of people 3, 4, 5 years after college, even 10 years after college, they're at home still not knowing what they want to do. And you can't just sit around and think that, oh, I'm gonna just sit here and work this job that I hate and it's just gonna magically come. No, you have to actually sit down and think about what it is that you're passionate about, what it is that you're good at, and then work towards those things. Work towards how you can put those things together to get to where it is that you're trying to get to. Now, as far as when it comes to college, the answer that you guys all have been waiting for through all my rambling, do I personally think that college is a scam? No, I do not. I do not think that college is a scam. And why I say that, even through all the bull crap that I went through in college, why I say that it's not a scam is because it started at home. If I was better advised at home before college, then I would not have gone through a lot of the stuff that I went through. If I knew more, I would not have gone through that. Now, does that mean that I then blame my parents? At one point, I kind of did. I will not lie to you. I did. I'm sure all of you has went through the phase where you're like, I wish my parents would have told me better instead of just telling me to go to college. I'm sure we've all been there. But I've also sat down and think to myself of all the things my mother had to go through to get her children to the state. She didn't go to college. How's she supposed to advise me on college? You know what I mean? Like, how they gonna advise you when they don't know? You know? So I was angry at one point, but I've gotten over that, and I've then determined that it's not necessarily her fault that she did not know better. And I mean, I can't speak of my father because he was not a part of my development, we'll say. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, I don't think that it's a scam. I think that it's only a scam when you were not properly advised. I will say you will then feel like it was a scam. If I could have went back and did choose better, I would have probably went to community college first. It's much cheaper to go to a community college. I could have just paid out of pocket. I could have probably rented a room somewhere and went to community college, work full time and go to class or take classes online part time, and then go to a higher level college to get the bachelor's. And I would have then went and tried to get a scholarship to do that. And I feel like that way I would have graduated with zero debt and I would not be having to pay all this money to student loan. Now I will say with my major that I chose, I'm able to get a solid income to where I do not struggle. I don't have to struggle. I can pay all my bills and I'm just fine. I can live a very comfortable life if I continue up the career ladder or whatever you want to call it. I can live a very good life off what I chose to do. But I know that a lot of people didn't choose majors where you make a decent wage, so you might feel like you're more stuck and you might feel like there's no way out the hole. But let me just tell you, there is always a way. There is always a way. There's always a way. If you're willing to fight the good fight, which is something I've been doing my entire life, if you're willing to fight the good fight, you will get through it. You will get through it. Like, I was willing to fight the good fight in college, and as tired as I was to go talk to them people about money, I know they were tired of me talking to them about money. But you know what? It got me through college. So you have to be willing to fight the good fight. As shy as I am, as to myself as I can be, look, when it comes down to it and push comes to shove, that little ghetto girl comes out and she is determined to go do what, well, I'm not gonna say do what she gotta do. There's certain things I will not do, but she's willing to do what it takes to get to where she needs to get. So you have to be willing to fight that good fight and put up a good one at it too. You have to put up that good fight and push your way through. You can get through it. It's not just about you going and getting that 4-year or 5-year, whatever degree you got. It's also about how you're able to apply yourself in the marketplace. If you can't market yourself properly and you cannot figure out ways to get jobs that pay you well, then, or pay you at least a decent wage, then that's not on college, that's on you. Like, people think that if you go to college, you're just gonna come out and make all this money, or you're gonna come out and get this nice job that's just paying you well right out the gate. No, like, you have to put in work to get those jobs. And a lot of times what I also find is some of my peers, like, they do the bare minimum to get what they want, and then they expect to get it. And I'm not saying this is everybody, but I've seen this. Like, I've seen people complain about not getting good jobs or jobs that pay decent, but they're not really putting in the work. They're not putting in the work. They're living the social media fantasy island life and thinking, oh, it's just gonna fall in my lap just like that. And it might. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's unrealistic to think that you can just sit around and things are just going to fall in your lap. Like, you have to put in some work, and a lot of people I find aren't putting in the work. Some of the people that complain, this is not everybody, but I'm saying, like, some of the people that I've seen complain about just college in general or not being able to find the right jobs, a lot of times it's them. It's not really that the jobs aren't there, it's really them. Like, I've seen that. Don't think that a degree makes you smart and stuff like that. A degree does not make you smart. That's why you have so many college kids who don't know how to get jobs, because they're not really that savvy. Like, you have to, it's not just about being book smart. Like, you have to know how to get them jobs. You have to know how to interview. You have to know how to work the employer so that you can get what you want. You have to know how to do those things. I'm still mastering those things, because, and I think a lot of it is not that I don't know how to do it, it's that I'm kind of shy and reserved, but I'm learning to get more out of that, because I'm actually really good with navigating my way and getting my way how I want when I want at times. So I'm actually still learning that, but that's a skill that you learn. That's not really something college is going to teach you. So when you're sitting here saying that college is a scam, ask yourself, are you learning how to navigate your way to get the jobs that you want? Are you learning those things? Like, those are skills that you have to learn, that college, while they may try to teach you some of them, it's like, it comes from here. It comes from within. It does not come from them. And you can't blame people because your life isn't turning out how you want it to. I want to say that the whole going to college thing starts at home. I know there's a lot of people who went to college and they come out with zero debt. Like, they go to a 4-year college, they get a degree, they come out with zero debt. It happens. It's possible. You don't have to tell your children, and if you are a student yourself, you don't have to keep thinking that you have to rack up student loan debt in order to get through college. There are scholarships out there, there are grants out there. There's literally scholarships and grants out there for everything. You're a woman, there's a scholarship out there for you. You're black, you're from a different island, you're from a different country, your leg don't work, you're whatever the case may be, there's literally scholarships out there. You just have to be willing to look for it and apply for it. And there's literally just so many scholarships out there. So don't think that you have to just settle for student loans. Don't let people make you think that you have to settle for student loans. The scholarships are there. You just have to be willing to sit down and actually apply to them. I know a lot of people get lazy about applying to scholarships, but it's like, either you sit there and apply to them, or you rack up all these student loan debt, and then you come out and you're just like, oh my god, I have all this debt. Also, don't think that college is the only option. It is not the only option. There are other options out there. You can pick up a trade, you can get certifications in things. You really don't have to go to school. I know for me, if I didn't go to school, I probably would be doing hair. I do my own hair. Since I've been a teenager, I've been doing my own hair. I probably, if I wanted to, could do other people's hair and make money from it. I'm just not into the whole being in people's head all the time. So I just can't. But I'll say if I didn't go to college, I probably would be someone who was doing hair, and you can make good money from that. You can make good money doing a lot of different things that don't require a college degree. Because some of these companies too, like they be trying to pay people $12 an hour and requiring a college degree, which makes no freaking sense in my opinion. But that's what's out there. So it's like you can pick up one of these trades or one of these skills, whether you want to be a barber, you want to be a plumber, you want to be a welder, you want to do makeup, you want to do hair, whatever the case may be. There's a market out there, and if you don't want to go to college and you want to pick up one of those trades, go for it. Like, don't think that you have to go to college to be successful. You do not. Or even if you did go to college and then you determine that, oh, you got this degree but you don't want to do that anymore, that's okay. I think one of the things too is a lot of our peers will sometimes try to put people down who are not working in their fields. Nothing is wrong with not working in your field. If you found that your field is not what is for you, then do something else. Like, do what makes you happy. I'm the type of person where I'm just like, do whatever it is that makes you happy. You don't have to stick to one thing in life, because the thing about life is it's so very short, and so you should do the things that you're passionate about and the things that makes you happy. Stop trying to live your life on other people's accord. Life is not social media, real world anyway. And I know there's a lot of people who live this social media life. It is not the real world. So just live your life for you and live your life and doing what makes you happy. And if that means going to college, then do that. But if it means not going to college, then don't do that. Just have an alternative. There's so many alternatives out there. Yeah, I'm just saying all that to say that there is just so many things that you can do and pursue if you're trying to be successful, and if your version of success is having a lot of money and being able to take care of family and stuff like that. There's more than one way to skin the cat, you guys. You don't have to go to college to be successful. Now, for the people though that do say college is a scam, I do want to point out that people who go to college overall make more than people who don't over a lifetime. I do want to point that out. So you cannot say college is a scam per se, because statistically speaking, people who go to college do make more over a lifetime, but it doesn't mean that you need to go to college to be successful. There is multiple ways to skin the cat, you guys, multiple ways to success, and there's not just one set way. But stop saying college is a scam just because you pursued something that is not getting you to the level of success that you want. Just stop thinking in that mindset, because when you keep thinking that mindset, you're always going to be stuck wherever it is that you currently are that you don't like. You're always going to be stuck there. But if you start changing your mindset and say, well, I was ignorant to college, or I was not properly advised, but now I know better, so now I'm going to do things to get me to where it is that I'm trying to get. If you start thinking in that mindset, because remember, mindset is everything. If you start thinking in that mindset, I promise you, you will see your life so much better. I know when I first graduated and I was thinking college is kind of like a scam, but then when I changed my whole mindset, I started my personal finance journey. Let me tell you guys, things has just been flourishing and coming to fruition. It's just going in the direction that I wanted. And I also want to say that always follow God's plan for you. Stop trying to like journey off on all these random shit that God is not like taking you towards. Once you start following God's path, you'll see things come to fruition, and everything that you always wanted manifest into what it is that you want. I promise you'll see it. I've seen that for myself, and it all started with my mindset. It all started there. So, you know, life isn't fair. It's not fair to any of us. Like, literally, I guarantee you, everybody you know is probably going through some shit. Everybody goes through shit, and everybody at some point feels like life isn't fair. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, doesn't matter what the case is. Now, some people go through more things than others, or more difficult times than others from their perspective, but it doesn't mean that everyone doesn't go through stuff. Hopefully this video helps give you guys some perspective. I know my college journey was rough. I know a lot of my peers' college journey has been rough, and is still rough for some of them as they're still going through it. So I just hope that this video helps give some perspective just from my point of view, and hopefully it helps. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.